Welcome to another episode of Beer Banter. My name is Mike.
And I'm Matthew.
In today's episode, we're going to first talk about the history of the Uerige Brauerei and its fascinating alt beer production. We'll then touch a little bit on the basics of alt beer as well. Finally, we're going to get into the review of this exciting beer, the Dopplesticke. To pay homage to German heritage, we are going to be delivering the term brewery as Brauerei, as the Germans would pronounce it.
Yes, and Uerige is one of the 4 brew pubs around the old town of Dusseldorf, Germany, which is accredited for the understanding of this alt beer style. Established in 1862 when a baker and brewmaster, Herbert Wilhelm Köthen, bought the premise, the name Uerige comes from a local vernacular for the term grouch. The brewery's patrons bestowed this nickname upon Köthen because of his well-known surly personality.
Köthen's unique, haphazard design of the Brauerei's building expansion is noteworthy. There are seemingly various types of architectural designs integrated. There are intimate little nooks, there are expansive beer halls. The jumbling design remains the case today, even though the Brauerei suffered serious damage during the bombing raids of World War II.
The Uerige Brewery continues to show its dedication through traditional methods. For example, they're only one of a handful of these brauereis that still continue to use gravity-fed draft beer through or with wooden vessels. The Brauerei's only use is through whole hops, which all derive from the local growing regions of Hallertau and Spalt.
Some of the brewing methods and equipment remains traditional as well. This is especially true when it comes to the wort chilling. Uerige utilizes large, uncovered open vat vessels called Coolships, which expose a large surface area of the wort to be in contact with the cooler ambient air temperature. This will bring the initial drop of wort from boil to around 55 degrees centigrade.
Yeah, the Brauerei then employs a secondary method. This is new to me. It's called a drip cooler. This device utilizes a series of pipes running cold groundwater to chill the dripping wort as it cascades down into a collection vessel. This will bring the final yeast pitching temperature of the wort down to around 20 degrees centigrade.
Now, when we say alt, that means old in German. It refers to the old style of producing beer. Before refrigeration technology came and lager yeast took over Germany, ale strains were the most common yeast used. Outside of the prevalent Weissbier styles, Cologne and Dusseldorf are 2 main areas in Germany that have continuously used these ale yeast strains.
Although the alt beer styles are often made with ale yeast, they are actually commonly fermented at lower temperatures. The temperature would be closer to that of a lager beer, right around 14 degrees centigrade. The cooler temperature will subdue the creation of some fruity compounds, such as esters, which are commonly found in ale yeast or ale production.
When restraining these flavors, the finished beer will taste cleaner and accentuate the malt and the hop characters. It's worth noting that some alt beer producers are brewing with lager yeast at more traditional ale yeast temperatures.
Uerige finishes their alt beer with a 3-week maturation period. This is where the yeast is going to go through a secondary fermentation. This will continue to refine those key flavors that are found in their alt beers. After maturation, the beer passes through a cellulose-layered filtration, which is on its way to the keg and bottles.
Yum. Sounds delicious. Let's go to the tasting.
All right, so let's get into the review of this actual beer. I'm very excited because I've as I'm doing all the research from the beer and the brewery, this just sounds awesome.
I'm super excited. I've not had a traditional alt beer from Dusseldorf. This will be my first.
So the Dopplesticke is a kind of more of a Doppelbock style of their alt beer. So again, ale yeast fermented at lower temperatures, and then the strength being more of like a rich malty bock or Doppelbock. So what do you get on the nose?
Tons of dark fruit, molasses.
Oh yeah,
Everything that is typical to a strong malt forward.
like prunes and fig, deep, rich, sweet sugar compounds. Really nice, big malty beer. You can tell right up front. I get almost a little bit. I mean, it's not the fruit, but it's almost that deep, sugary fig-like fruit.
Mm-hmm.
A touch of roast in there too, almost like not burnt, but like kind of resiny, kind of roastiness.
Yeah, toffee.
This was a bottle conditioned beer, and I saw a lot of sediment come through as I poured it, but it is dark. It is definitely a dark brown.
Dark brown, yeah.
And its color, there's ruby highlights in the edges of the glass, like mahogany, and I can see sediment floating.
Yeah, the sediment from the bottle conditioning has definitely given this beer a haze. It's impossible to see through.
A tan head.
Of good retention too. Nice thick creamy head.
Malty, like rich, sticky malt.
Almost a little bit of smokiness too.
Yeah, leather.
Not smoked as in smoked malts, but there's a robustness to it coming.
I think it has to do probably with the huge amount of sugars and probably a lot of larger complex sugars that weren't fermented out to give it that residual sweetness. But like just that straining on the yeast of all these big sugars, I feel like gave it some of that unique characteristics with that leather and that.
In the history, you talked about the surliness, and that gave this beer its name, and man, you can taste that on it too. Tastes like a mean old German man's beard.
Chewy.
It's great.
Oh.
The alcohol is definitely present on this one too. Do we have a final ABV for this one?
I think it's somewhere around 8%.
That's what it tastes like for sure.
I could be wrong. It tastes a little bit warmer, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. It's chewy. It's like really bready, chewy. I get a low, moderate effervescence. It's not very bright. Which kind of lends it to that chewy tobacco kind of feel.
Yeah, and the old style, the alt style of production too.
Yeah, what an interesting beer.
Yeah, really unique.
This would go real well in the cold months. Warm fire and a Dopplesticke.
Definitely on the aroma, smells more like a traditional Doppelbock with the maltiness, the dark fruits. As I'm tasting it though, on the back, you get that kind of almost smokiness, but alcohol slightly astringent on the end.
I get the astringency too. Finish.
Right.
I mean, that's probably coming a little bit from that higher hopping rate, but it also lends into a little bit of a tannic astringency or that lingering astringency.
Yeah, a very interesting and unique beer to try. Not something that I would probably order on the regular. This is definitely a sipper, fun to try. Not one that I would order and purchase regularly.
Well, I would drink this again, but it would be probably coming next winter with a warm fire or a bonfire. Maybe would be best set for this. Well, thank you again for joining Beer and Banter. Leave comments below of any beers that you want us to try. We look forward to seeing what you guys come up with.
And if this is your first video you watched and you enjoyed it, please feel free to subscribe. Cheers.
Prost. That is like...
It's leather and tobacco.